Hello, how are you
Good
all
evening.
doing? Oh, good evening. We're very posh tonight, Arnold.
Nice to be with you again
It is.
after a little while.
It is, isn't it? It's because they're so nerve-wracking, these stories. Not really. It's techie problems, but you don't need to hear about that. Hopefully, this will come out nice and
Hopefully.
clearly. Okay, so we have named this episode Lovable Rascals. And for a very good reason. All will be revealed, but I need to just go back a wee bit. 1995, it's all right, I'm not going to cover every year in between. 1995, there was a group of people gathered around us, and the group actually elected us and then asked us, could we please lead this group? Because we didn't have any leaders, we were all just da-da-da. And well, we definitely had to give a proviso if they wanted us to lead and they were thinking of this becoming a church of some kind, it would not repeat or replicate. There's a good word, Arnold. Replicate. Hey. Any of the other churches in our surrounding area, because like, what's the point of repeating styles of churches? I don't like that. It's not good. So if we were to lead something that would eventually become a church, it would be different. And our call on our lives, we do believe, still was for children and young people primarily. So obviously there would be an emphasis on children and young people. Yeah. And also, it wouldn't be like any of the traditional churches, because we felt, well, if we're going to do this, we need to do it differently. Because there are loads of churches in Preston, loads of really good churches, and it's great that we have the diversity of different styles of church. So, okay, everybody agreed to that. Did they know what they were letting themselves in for? Did we?
Did we?
Well, we have some stories of lovable rascals. We're going to focus on one for this episode, and maybe in subsequent episodes, we'll look at some other gorgeous, lovable rascals.
Who shall remain nameless.
Absolutely. Names known to us. All right, Arnold.
We led Oaklands Church for 25 years. In a season that is now in the past. What we thank God for most isn't what we've achieved, but for relationships made that still last. In its early days, we prioritized the youth, but that had to begin with a trial. Instead of mornings when most were asleep, we found out, we met at tea time for a Café Bar style. Yeah. All these years later, we're still in touch with some who were real tearaways. Now adults themselves with kids of their own, they still fondly remember those days. God's love is amazing. Yeah. Just earlier this week, we discovered how much He does care. As I waited to order some food for us both, I glanced round and He was standing right there.
He, number one lovable rascal. There he was, standing right there. I think I need to fill you in a wee bit on this lovable rascal. No names. You know who you are, because we were talking to you just a few days ago. But to have one of these Café Bar styles, we needed to follow child protection procedures, obviously rigidly. And the adults had to be all CRB checked, etc. I had to cover all of that. And we had to have some rules, because rules like no alcohol or drugs internally or externally. So I loved being on the door because I could check them.
You were a good checker.
And a good policewoman who used to call me on the door.
You wanted to be one day, didn't you?
I did,
At some point.
Nursing was a whole different ball game and much better for it. So, yeah, so this lovable rascal here.
Who knows who he is?
When you get a group like this lovable rascal, like this lad, the adults obviously had to be on high alert, didn't they? And 24/7, really, the whole time we met together, for the sake of protection of everybody there, us and them included, and everybody, because we often had visitors to see what was going on here in the school hall on a Sunday evening. And now you see I've lost my thread again, Arnold. Where was it? Yes, right. Okay. So one of these nights, I was near the beginning, kicking off proceedings from the front, and I saw this movement down my left-hand side. And I looked, and there he was. He with a condom pulled over his head and him blowing it up. That was one little incident.
All we could do was laugh, and I think Jesus would have been laughing with us.
Another night when we were all gathered doing Café Bar, suddenly there was a mass exodus of all the young people. No, this particular group, not all of them. And of course, they had to be followed by some of the adults to make sure everything was okay. What the adults found there was Condom Lad charging across the school playing fields, and his friends all in a row shout, "Run! Run! Run! Keep running!" Why? Because there was a police car in hot pursuit over those playing fields. Now, cars on grass and muddy playing fields don't really go.
No,
the wheels were spinning on the police car. Should we be laughing? The wheels were spinning on the police car that they couldn't get anywhere. So one of them jumped out and charged after our friend, and he was caught, and he has paid the punishment for what they were after him for. Which
we discovered this week.
Yes.
We had no idea.
And we're not telling you.
No. You don't need to know.
No, we were glad the police caught him. Okay, so I think is that all I was going to say there? I think so, because you've got to go back to our chance meeting that day. Mm-hmm. See, we're moving quickly today, aren't we?
He introduced his 3 children to me, and I felt the warmth from his heart. Mm-hmm. A mature adult now with fond memories of Oakland's Café Bar days at the start. He admitted to being that young tearaway, and as we reminisced, we had a good laugh. At the time, he put a condom on his head and being chased by the police with wheels spinning on the grass. On leaving the restaurant, we saw him again. He had fallen out with his partner that day, so he was on the phone trying to sort it out. He didn't want to lose the children, he said, and he asked Pam and I, would we pray? We left him still trying to sort things out, while he sat drinking a pint from the bar, and feeling God's love for this young man, we sat and prayed for him in our car. He won't understand how encouraged we've been by our chance meeting in the restaurant that day. Before leaving home, Pam and I had prayed for a God-given appointment today. Looking back on our story, we both realize we have been privileged to be part of God's plan.
Absolutely.
History is his story.
Yeah.
And we can all play a part by sharing his love with our fellow man.
Yeah. So did you like that? Bit shorter tonight, isn't it? Hey, we're going for the record, the shortest ever. But that's episode 1.
Episode 1. There may be a few more.
Who should we talk about in episode 2? We have a choice.
Watch out, whoever you are.
You can tell we absolutely love these guys, honestly, guys and girls.
We do.
And
God does too.
It's just amazing to meet up with them now. We've met up with several of them over the years, because this lad now is in his late 30s. So that's how old we are. Oops. So there's plenty more to follow. So please
tune in the next time.
Yep. And do subscribe. Actually, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do feel free. Give us a wee like.
And share it with your friends if you dare.
If you dare. Saying you know those 2 loony bins in there on the screen. Okay. Have a great week, folks. Yes. And hopefully we'll talk to you again in a not too distant future. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye. We kept smiling.